Shalom, welcome back. So today I'd like to discuss a woman named Dinah. Dinah was the daughter of the patriarch Jacob by his wife Rachel. Now let's read Genesis 30 verses 19 to 24. When Leah conceived again and bore Jacob a sixth son, Leah said, "God has given me a choice gift. This time my husband will exalt me, for I have borne him 6 sons." So she named him Zebulun. Last, Leah bore him a daughter and named her Dinah. Now God remembered Rachel. God heeded her and opened her womb. She conceived and bore a son and said, "God has taken away my disgrace." So she named him Joseph. Now wait a minute. I said that Dinah was Rachel's daughter, but the verse said that Leah was her mother. What's going on here? Up until this point, Rachel had been childless, but her sister Leah had borne 6 sons. Both Leah and Rachel conceived. According to tradition, Leah knew by prophecy that the child she bore was a 7th son, but her sister was pregnant with a girl. Leah, in a show of true compassion for her sister's childless plight, prayed desperately that the children be switched, and miraculously they were. Leah gave birth to Dinah, and Rachel gave birth to Joseph. Now, Rachel's most famous trait was her characteristic beauty. All of her descendants inherited this beauty. Dinah had it as well, and it comes to play greatly in her story. When Jacob returned from the house of Laban to meet his brother Esau, who wanted to kill him, Jacob sent gifts ahead of his family and then went out to meet his brother with his family in order. His concubines and their children, Leah and her children, and Rachel and her son. Okay, let's read the passage. Looking up, Jacob saw Esau coming, accompanied by 400 men. He divided the children among Leah, Rachel, and the 2 maids, putting the maids and their children first, Leah and her sons next, and Rachel and Joseph last. Leah and her sons, Rachel and Joseph. Where was Dinah? Rashi taught that Jacob hid Dinah in a box because he was afraid that Esau would try to take her for his wife. Leah also wept and davened, or prayed, that Dinah would not be discovered. But we are taught that Jacob's action was wrong, and his punishment was the tragic rape of Dinah by Shechem. What was wrong about hiding Dinah? Clearly she could not be allowed to marry Esau. Esau had rejected God's plan for his life in favor of self-service and could not be restored. That is what is meant by Jacob's words to his father, Ani Esav Bechor. Esau's God-given role had been absorbed by Jacob. Now Esau could not marry into Jacob's family. So then why was it wrong for him to hide Dinah? For an answer, let's look back at Timnah. Last week we discussed that Timnah had come to the patriarchs with the intention of converting, but had been rejected. After her rejection, she married Esau's son and became the mother of Amalek, the sworn enemy of God. What went wrong with these rejections? The rejection of Timnah and the rejection of Esau. It was not rejecting that was wrong. Clearly they had to be rejected. When we read Psalm 1 verse 1, it says, "Happy is the man who has not followed the counsel of the wicked, nor taken the path of sinners, nor joined the company of the insolent." Jacob Avinu clearly had to disassociate with Esau, his brother. So why was he punished? The fathers clearly had to reject Timnah. Why have her descendants caused us continual pain? The answer is in how the rejection was carried out. Clearly the rejection was merited, but did it have to be so harsh? Apparently not. When in the very rare case it becomes necessary for us to cut off contact with an individual, we should always check our hearts. Rejection should never be carried out with an attitude of superiority or anger. It should always be done with an attitude of compassion and pity. And we should always take it with sorrow. We should always reject with great sorrow over having to do that. It's a terribly sad thing. And the rape of Dinah obviously had a great impact on her life, and she suffered tremendous shame and heartbreak because of it. But in the end, her redemption came through her surrogate, her brother Yosef. This, God willing, we'll discuss next week.